Okay, so today what we're working on is factoring trinomials whose leading coefficient is not 1. Now, the first step to this type of factoring that we're going to do every single time is what we do. We take that leading coefficient and we multiply it times our constant. Positive 3x squared times negative 15. That is negative 45x squared. So everybody write that step down, please. Okay, so whenever there's a number out in front that's not 1, this is what we have to do first. And then we're going to ask ourselves that very same question that we did earlier. But this time we're going to say, what do I multiply to get negative 45 that I add to get negative 4? So we're going to think about our factors this time of 45. I've got 1 and 45, 3 and 15, 9 and 5, or 5 and 9. Now, if I'm multiplying to get a negative, does that tell me that the signs of these two numbers are the same or they're opposites? They're opposites. So these are my choices I'm looking at, and I know the signs are opposite. I just don't know which one's which. Okay, that's a good choice. Because we're multiplying to get negative 45 and adding to get negative 4. And the way we do that is do negative 9 and positive 5. Because negative 9 times 5 is negative 45, and negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4. Now, did your teachers call this term splitting?
Yes.
Okay, what we do is we take this middle term and we split it into these two things. Because negative 9x times positive 5x is negative 45x squared, and negative 9x plus 5x is negative 4. So we didn't change the value of this expression at all. We didn't change its value because negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4. We just created a 4-term expression. And the reason we did that is so we can factor by grouping, just like we did on those last two problems on your worksheet. What does the first group have in common?
3.
And it leaves me with, what do I multiply 3 by to get 3? Just 1, right? And what do I multiply x by to get x squared? An x. Okay, whatever sign is here, it's the same here. So what do I multiply 3 by to get 9? 3. Here I have an x. Here I only have one x. Do I need any more x's? No. Okay. So when I factored out the GCF of this first group, I got 3x times x minus 3. Now remember, we want this one to match this one, don't we? So what do I divide out of here? 5. So I have to divide a 5 out of this group to be left with x minus 3. You got that, Clayton?
I need some paper. I just finished doing something else. All right, it's all down there. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now, these two have the x minus 3 in common. The x minus 3 is a common factor for this term and that term. So we can factor out that common factor, and then we group what is left. This is left, and this is left. So we group what is left when we factor out the common factor.
what order you put it in?
It doesn't, because multiplication is commutative. I could put this first or this first, and there'd be both correct answers. So you could write it either way, and I'll give you 100%.
So, how'd you get that minus 9x? I think?
Okay, what we did was we multiplied this term times this term. Does that make sense? And what we said was, what can you multiply to get negative 45 that you can add to get negative 4? So we thought about all those factors, and we decided it was negative 9 and positive 5.
Alright, I got it.
So we took that 4 and split it into those two things.
Alright, thank you.
Does anybody have any questions about this problem? So the new part is just the splitting here. Because this part we've already talked about. It's not as easy as the other kind, but it's the same idea. All right, let's do another one. 6x squared minus 17x plus 5. All right. Yes, sir. Oh, you already know?
Well, not the answer, but like, I can do
Okay. What do we do first?
6 times 5.
Very good. That's exactly what we do first. And 6 times 5 gives us 30. So let's come over here. And you really can think of it as 30x squared because we're multiplying this term times this term. But we're just focusing on these numbers. So we're asking ourselves, what can I multiply to get 30? So let's think about my factors of 30.
Negative 15.
1 and 30.
Negative 15, negative 6.
He's already got it. 2 and 15 and 3 and 10 and 5 and 6. Those would be all my factors. But because we're multiplying to get a positive and adding to get a negative, if you're multiplying to get a positive, they have to have the same signs, don't they?
Both gotta be negative.
And they both have to be negative because we're adding to get that negative. So we're going to go with this one. Because negative 2 and negative 15, when we add them up, give us negative 17. So we're going to split that middle term into negative 2x and negative 15x. Now, I'm actually going to do this problem twice. Because if you were working it on your own, you may have put the 15 first and the 2 second. You don't have to copy down the second one. But I'm just going to show you how it works out to give you the same answer, no matter which one you choose to put first here, okay? So we're going to work through this one first, and then I'm going to work through this one. And we'll see that we get the same thing. All right, let's group it. Group the first 2, group the second 2. What does our first group have in common? What's the GCF?
2x.
2x. And when we factor that out, what do I multiply 2 by to get 6? 3. Here I have 1x, but I need 2, so how many more x's do I need? 1 more. All right, bring down my sign. Here I have 2x, and here I have 2x. I don't need to change it at all. What number can I multiply by that doesn't change anything?
4.
1. So when it doesn't need to change at all, we have to have a 1 there. All right, now we want this one to match. All right, first thing I notice, this one's negative, but this one's positive. So when I'm factoring it out, am I going to factor out a positive number or a negative number to make those signs change? A negative number. A negative number will make those signs change. Now, what do I multiply 3 by to get 15? 5. Okay, these two terms have this 3x minus 1 in common. Do you see that? 3x minus 1, 3x minus 1. So we can pull that out. And then, since we pulled it out in front, we can group what's left. And what's left is 2x minus 5. Okay. Now, what if you were doing this on your own and you had put the negative 15 first? Let's see how that would work. Still do the same thing. We're still going to do grouping once we get to 4 terms. We're going to take the GCF out. It's 3 this time. And an x. What do I multiply 3 by to get 6? 2. And here I have 1x. Here I need 2. So how many more do I need? 1 more. What do I multiply 3 by to get 5? 15. 5. Okay. And we always bring down our sign. Okay, so we want this one to match. Let's compare these. It's the exact same, except the signs are different. So what do you factor out? A negative 1. And then these two terms have the 2x minus 5 in common. And then we group what's left. All right. How do those two compare? Are they the same thing? Yeah, they are the same thing. Just the order of our parentheses. The binomials are switched. But we have the exact same binomials. 3x minus 1, 3x minus 1. 2x minus 5, 2x minus 5. We got the exact same answer, just the order of our binomials is reversed. Okay, are we good? I think that is probably good for today. And tomorrow, this is what we're going to work on the entire class period. You might want to keep your notes, because you can use your notes once we start working out of the laptops next week.
Jordan.